Love is an emotion that we should feel. We're not free to love just anyone.
What is love? Let's talk about romantic love. What is that?
Well, can I just first start by saying we're a bit confused about it? And so I can't give you an immediate answer, but I want to register that not just me, but the whole of the current world is confused about love. And I think we've been confused for about 200 years. And let's go easy on ourselves here, because the way in which we approach love now is a never before approached philosophy. For about the last 250 years, we've been loving under the aegis of a philosophy we could call romanticism. And romanticism is a vision of love with very particular assumptions. Let me run through a few of them. There's one soulmate for everybody. You're going to find this soulmate. You're going to find them through slightly mysterious ways, possibly through almost quasi-divine, like you'll feel pulled, you'll meet them at the supermarket checkout line, the nightclub, and without even knowing too much about them, you will sense that they're your destiny. So you'll feel impelled towards somebody that you don't necessarily know too much of. A force will pull you and you will feel this is the one. And they will be an angel, literally a sort of descended being from another world. The Romantics were very, very keen on the notion that you didn't have to know someone too well to understand them. Even speaking not very much, the connection will be even deeper. The Romantics also thought that love and sex absolutely belong together, and that you couldn't have a millimeter of disjuncture between the two. Love and sex had sometimes drifted apart in the old world, and that had been sometimes a problem, but it became a tragedy. So adultery moved from a difficulty to a tragedy. That's why all modern novels and films are all about the tragedy of adultery. So look, these are some of the difficulties that the modern world has created. We tend to believe nowadays that love is an emotion that we should feel, never a skill that we should learn. For example, if I said to you, we should probably study love, we should probably go to a school of love, you go, that's not very romantic. Now, every time that someone says, that's not very romantic, ding, ding, that's normally a sign of a problem. Like most things that don't sound very romantic are a good idea, and most things that are romantic, like marrying in Vegas after you've met someone for 5 minutes, is not so great. Now, what are we getting wrong? One of the things we're getting wrong is this whole business of instinct, right? So we tend to believe that love will pull us instinctively towards marvelous people that will be correct for us. The old world, people were set up in relationships. You'll marry this person because of this reason. That person goes well with my family, blah, blah. In other words, nothing to do with you. You're put together with somebody. Nowadays, we're nominally free to choose anyone. Hooray, fantastic. Aren't we going to make great choices? No. Why don't we make great choices? Because we're not free. Why are we not free? We need to go to a psychotherapist to tell us why we're not free. We're not free to love just anyone. We love in tracks laid down for us by our childhoods. Adult love sits on top of tracks and a script laid down for us in childhood. You might go, what's the problem with that? So what? Well, what's problematic is that many of us had childhoods in which affection was mixed in with more problematic dynamics. That maybe in order to derive love in childhood, we also had to encounter somebody who was in a rage, someone who was violent, someone who was depressed, someone who put us down, someone who preferred another sibling, whatever it was. And we go into adulthood and we find that we're drawn to love stories that feel familiar because they're echoing some of childhood dynamics, but they don't necessarily, for that matter, lead to happiness. And, sometimes we have situations where you set up a friend, let's say. You got a really good friend and another friend. You think those people would really go well together. You set them up on a date and then you call them up afterwards. You say, so how did it go? It must have gone really well. They say, I'm not sure. Maybe something was lacking, a little spark. What they're really trying to get at is, they're not going to put it this way. Your friend, this date, did not show me signs that they would make me suffer in the way that I need to suffer in order to feel I'm in love. In other words, this relationship threatened to be happy. That's why I had to go away. So we are paradoxical creatures because our past was not necessarily happy. We're not necessarily that happy that our future romantic lives should be happy either. And this is something that, they weren't thinking about that when love was reinvented 250 years ago.